Welcome to Mysteries in the Dark, the curious adventures of Luna Sparks and Omar Trekker, the podcast where we relive our most exciting, baffling, and sometimes utterly silly mysteries from way back when Omar and I were just kids. I am Luna Sparks, and this is my brilliant best buddy, Omar Trekker.
That is me, the one and only official co-pilot of Adventure and, still the head snack inspector. It has honestly been my most consistent job for, well, forever, as Luna likes to say.
Oh, you have absolutely always been the snack inspector, Omar. I still remember when you tested my peanut butter sandwich in 3rd grade. It was, I think, a rigorous inspection process, if I recall correctly.
Hey, I had to make sure it was not haunted. You can never be too careful with elementary school lunch. Plus, it tasted great, so clearly, my inspection skills were on point, even back then.
Haunted sandwiches. That is a new one, even for you. But speaking of things that seemed a little spooky, today's story, our very first one we are sharing with all of you, is one of our all-time favorites. Kids, grab your flashlights, maybe a comfy blanket, and definitely some snacks, because this is the case of the Midnight Whistle.
This one really takes us back, Luna. I mean, it set the tone for pretty much every mystery we tackled after. It was our origin story, almost. And it started, if I remember right, in your backyard.
That is right. I think we were about 12. It was a warm summer night, one of those perfect nights where the air smelled like freshly cut grass and, of course, toasted marshmallows. The moon was just hanging there, low and silver, above my backyard. We had decided to camp out in this magnificent, self-built tent.
Magnificent? Luna, that tent was floppier than a pancake in a windstorm. I remember wrestling with a sagging corner every 15 minutes. It had more structural integrity issues than a house of cards during an earthquake.
Oh, come on. We tried our best, and it added to the adventure. You have to admit, we just told ourselves it was modern art. We were roasting marshmallows, telling the absolute worst jokes we could think of, and just listening to the crickets sing their midnight song.
Yeah, everything was perfectly peaceful, almost too peaceful, now that I think about it. It was like the calm before the woo.
Exactly. Out of nowhere, a long, low whistle just floated through the air. I remember freezing, thinking, did I just imagine that?
I heard it too, Luna. My exact thought was, what was that? It sounded like a train whistle, right? But then the immediate follow-up thought was, but there are not any train tracks anywhere near here. My voice was barely a whisper. I was genuinely confused, maybe a little spooked.
Mine too. My eyes were wide. And then another one. Ooh, ooh. It echoed across the yard, even eerier than the first. And that is when my eyes just gleamed with excitement. I remember thinking, Omar, this sounds like a mystery.
Of course it did, and my immediate classic Omar response was, do I get a snack first? Because, proper investigation requires proper fuel. It is still my motto to this day, actually.
No time. That is what I said, zipping up my jacket. Adventure waits for no one. We were off, creeping through the yard, past the big oak tree, into the tall, whispering grass at the edge of the property. The moonlight was shimmering over everything, and the night was just alive with sounds, the croak of frogs, the rustle of leaves, and that haunting, ghostly whistle.
It was genuinely creepy, The atmosphere was just perfect for a ghost story. Every shadow looked like a lurking monster. Every rustle of leaves sounded like something else. We were 12, so everything felt so much bigger and scarier.
Absolutely, but also thrilling. We followed the sound, tracing it to the old wooden tool shed that belonged to my grandpa. It stood there, crooked and shadowy, its hinges groaning softly in the wind. Spider webs glistened like silver strings across the doorway, catching the moonlight. It looked like something straight out of a classic mystery book.
And that is when I, ever the gentleman, offered, "Ladies first." You just smirked at me. Honestly, I was a little nervous. I will not lie. That shed always gave me the willies.
Nice try, Omar. I think my exact words were, "Nice try," but I pushed that creaky door open anyway. Creak, the sound just cut through the silence. And then we saw it, glimmering in the moonlight inside. Tell them what we found, Omar.
Oh, the anticlimax of it all. There, sitting on a table, was a rusty old tea kettle on a tiny camping stove, and the wind, the very same wind we would have been listening to, was whistling right through a crack in the window, straight across the kettle's spout. I squinted at it, still half expecting a ghost to pop out, but nope, just a very musical tea kettle.
I gasped first, then burst out laughing. I mean, it was not a ghost train at all. It was Grandpa's tea kettle. It sounds so obvious now, but in the moment, it felt like the biggest discovery.
Well, that is one way to brew up a mystery, right? We just stood there and laughed until we could hardly breathe. I think you accidentally tipped over the lantern, which, thankfully, landed harmlessly in a pile of old gloves.
It did. It was just pure, unadulterated relief and hilarity. Yunwell finally caught our breath. We sat outside under the glowing moon, finishing the last of our marshmallows. The strange whistle had vanished, replaced by the gentle chorus of crickets. It was kind of serene.
Yes, so the midnight whistle was not spooky after all, just windy and weird, and slightly hilarious, as I recall saying. A haunted tea kettle, that is one for the books, literally now, since we are sharing it.
It really taught us something, though. You know, sometimes the scariest sounds, or the most baffling situations, have the silliest, most unexpected, and often simplest explanations. It is all about looking for those explanations, even if they seem a little mundane at first.
And sometimes the best mysteries end with snacks. Let us not forget that crucial takeaway, Luna. That was a big one for me. But honestly, that night, it solidified everything. It was our very first big mystery, even if it turned out to be a tea kettle. It showed us we could tackle anything, as long as we put our heads together.
Exactly. It was not about finding a ghost or a hidden treasure. It was about the journey, the investigation, the laughs, and figuring it out together. From that night on, we knew one thing for sure. No matter how strange, spooky, or silly a mystery might seem, we could always solve it together. And that, I think, is a pretty powerful lesson for 12-year-olds.
It definitely was. And that teamwork, that willingness to explore even the silliest possibilities, has stuck with us. It is why we are still here, decades later, telling you all these stories, because every mystery, big or small, has a solution just waiting to be discovered.
So, what did you learn today, curious kids? Maybe next time you hear a strange sound, instead of jumping to conclusions, you will channel your inner Luna and Omar and go investigate, but safely, of course, and maybe bring a snack.
Definitely bring a snack. And that is a wrap for the case of the Midnight Whistle. We hope you enjoyed hearing about our very first adventure. Join us next time for more curious tales and baffling puzzles, right here on Mysteries in the Dark, the curious adventures of Luna Sparks and Omar Trekker.